Hello, this is Krinstar, and today I'm going to talk about velocity and getting NoteGrid to produce a velocity within range. Um, Basically, here, let me turn this back on. Well, let's talk about it first. So I have the new oh, there it goes. I have my new toy, the launchpad, and it's an older version. It doesn't support velocity, so which means that every time I hit a key, it hits the same amount of velocity every time. And if you don't know, velocity means it's basically how light you hit a key on the keyboard is either the louder sound or the softer sound. There's a lot of things in synthesizers these days that title velocity. So same like the on-screen keyboard that I have here. Every time it presses, it makes the same sound regardless. It doesn't change. It doesn't change in any of the things, and it gets kind of boring after a while. So, the tricks of the trade is to do some velocity, which will give some expression. There are other ways of getting some randomized velocity. The humanizer, right? Human. The humanize tool here will allow for some kind of random velocity. The problem with this one is you can't really tell what it's doing in the realm of velocity, and I have synthesizers that trigger off this velocity, and the higher velocities will get it to do something. And I'm talking about my shreddage threes. The higher velocities will get it to do like a pinch harmony, and the lower velocities will mute the strings. So I need to pay really close attention to what velocity is sending. If you really don't care, this one's fine. And it's totally random. Another way of doing it is the randomize, and it does velocity also. And again, the problem with this one, you can't really tell the numbers of what it's doing in velocity. Say I want the velocity to go from 50 to 80%. I want a little bit of quiet, a little bit loud, but not too obnoxiously loud. I can't. I don't think there's any way of telling what kind of the range of this velocity is. So here comes NoteGrid to the rescue. NoteGrid is a really cool thing because this thing right here has the incoming stuff like the MIDI notes, the velocity, and the gate and stuff like that. And then it has outgoing, which we're kind of taking over the velocity one right here. And we're leaving everything else alone. So what I got is I got kind of a sort of a steps thing in here that gives various different velocity things, and this is what's cool is because I can control what velocity it's spitting out. I got something in here to kind of randomize this a little bit. This right here is okay. So velocity is like 0 to 128 or 150 or something. I don't actually remember, but it goes over 100. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of whatever number this is spitting out, it's going to be between 0 and 1, I believe. So 0.50, point stuff. So I have to kind of boost the number that's going out, and then basically, this is going to be randomized, so I got a sample and hold to kind of keep it in place. Um, the really cool thing is how these things are used. This is a greater than less than. Normally, in programming, when I use these things, I say, hey, if it's greater than this, then do this. But these don't kind of work that way. This says, hey, spit out a gate if it's greater than, or spit out a gate if it's less than. So you have to use these gates, and it didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, except for in this type of scenario. I immediately thought of this, where basically I'm feeding a constant in and feeding a constant in. So this is my high, this is my low, and it's saying that if this over here is too high, it'll throw a gate, which causes the select to switch to the constant. If it's same thing on this side. If it's too low, it'll switch to the constant. So therefore, it will always give me something between 196 and 0.39 for the velocity. And as you can see, these numbers only go when I'm pressing a key. But you should not see a number higher than 196 and not see a number lower than 0.39. And as you can see 0.39 in there. All right, so it's giving the on-screen playing some expression or change because it's going through the different velocities, and it's kind of making it sound like I'm playing lighter on the keys, and sometimes I'm slamming on the keys, and gives it a lot of different style of going with. Without sounding like dumb or without. Let me turn it back off. It's an entirely different sound. Quieter stuff, and I get it. Mostly like most of the sense of keyboards are going to have some velocity sensitive, but there is a lot of keyboards and devices that do not have velocity sensitive information, and sort of you have to fake that information. And this setup right here for this grid is actually really good. Here you don't have to do so much to try to mess around with it. I was either you can do an LFO as you can see right here of what I have. I also did an LFO right here for the gain. As you can see, the little blue tick there kind of opens and closes the gain a bit to mess around with the based upon the timing. But that's why it's not. That's why it's. Totally forgot about the polyphony doesn't start the engine until you press a key. At any rate, um, the LFO you could replace with this, and that's kind of why I had the sign mod here. In fact, let me do this. So this will just go up and down. It'll go up and down for the velocity. Now you can see that here. It'll won't go above 196 and it won't go below 139. So if I make it so that it's 120, it should cap at 120 now. It caps. And this works for anything constant, by the way, within Bitwig. So instead of velocity, I could do timbre. I could do. You should be able to do it with notes. Specify the kind of the upper range and the lower range of the notes. Translate them into the variables that you see here, and then yeah, see the semitones. And then you could have something variable and then keep it constrained within a high note and a low note. So that if you want to express a certain octave or a couple of octaves and then keep it quantized, you can. Um, Also for phase, if you want to do phases or keep an LFO constrained within certain numbers, you could do it this way. This little setup is kind of cool. It should keep everything within the number range that you want. So when I'm messing around with modulation and keeping things between zero and one, which I've done in the past, and I've had a lot of struggles with trying to keep it between a certain number range. Now I can because basically these constants will just go to max and then shut them off if it goes over max and shut them off if it goes below the minimum. Um, there should be um, the floor and ceiling should do the same thing, by the way. but I don't know. They don't produce a gate for which the thing that you want to turn off and on. So I kind of wanted to set something up so that you can understand how to do it on your own, sans these, so that you can literally unhook it from here and then do it with anything else that needs a control flow. So like audio and stuff like that, flow rather than um, numbers. So either way, just wanted to show this off. Um, also, really quick, I've been messing around with some effects. Most of this is driven by this chain, which is narcotic going in with airy light vibrato, and then Valhalla Supermassive with the mix way high with a tremolo and a delay. Makes it sound like really cool. And then on the master, I have the Arturia Filter M12 on here with the Ratchet Club preset, and then to mess around with the sound even more, I have phase distortion on the frequency splitter. So over here should be phase, and then I have a trance gate which cuts it off and on. This is a free kilohertz plug-in. Gives it some rhythm. And then I got a delay going, and then I have a comb, which gives it a really weird. For the mids here, I hit mid to highs. They'll give it a comb filtery effect, and it'll mess with the sound a bit more. And these are on ramp to try to modulate it randomly. Kind of cool. I wouldn't say ambient. ambient, chill, kind of weird sounds-ish, sonic mulch. Either or. So, anyway, hope you liked the video, and we'll see you in the next one.